First story, the fog beneath Ashburn Street. I never believed in haunted cities. Small towns with creaky barns and abandoned mills? Sure, but not Chicago. Not the place where I grew up, where the L trains never sleep and the skyline drowns the stars. That was until the night of October the 26th, when I made a wrong turn on my way home through Ashburn. I was working late shifts at the postal depot off Western Avenue. That night, I got off around 2 in the morning. The air was thick, heavy, and the fog rolled in like something alive. I'd taken the same route home for months, but that night, I swear the streets changed. My GPS glitched, the battery dropped from 60% to 0, and suddenly I was on Ashburn Street. No streetlights, no passing cars, just the fog and silence thick enough to choke on. I passed rows of houses, tall, brick 2 flats with blacked-out windows. Every porch was empty. No lights. Not even that annoying flicker of TVs behind curtains. Just quiet. Too quiet for Chicago. Then I saw the girl. She was standing beneath a dead lamppost in a white dress, barefoot, her hair soaked like she'd come straight from Lake Michigan. She didn't move, didn't even blink. I slowed down and rolled my window down halfway. "Hey, are you okay?" She looked up. Her eyes were completely white. Not like rolled back white, just empty. No pupils, no irises. Just milky sockets staring right through me. I floored it, but when I looked in the rearview mirror, she was gone. I took turn after turn trying to find my way back to the main road, but every street sign was blank. Every alley seemed to twist behind me, like I was looping the same block again and again. Then came the whispering. At first it was faint, like wind curling through alleyways. Then it grew louder, closer, inside the car. "You're still here. You're still here. You're still here." I slammed the brakes. The engine cut off. Total darkness. I tried to call someone, anyone, but my phone was dead. I stepped out, shaking, the fog now so dense I could barely see past the hood. And then I saw them. Dozens of them. Standing along the sidewalk, the porches, even crouching on the fire escapes. Figures in tattered clothes, soaking wet, heads tilted, eyes white. All of them watching. Silent. I turned and ran. Didn't matter where. I ducked into a nearby house, door hanging open like it was waiting for me. Inside, it was worse. The walls bled. I'm not kidding. Red dripped from the ceiling, pooling on the floor. Photos on the wall showed me, photos I'd never taken, in places I'd never been. Then the girl was inside, right behind me. "You weren't supposed to leave." I screamed, slammed the door shut, and suddenly I was outside again, Ashburn Street. But now it was daylight. Morning traffic. Pedestrians. No fog. I thought I was free. I got home, locked the door, threw the clothes I wore into the trash. But that night, at exactly 2 o'clock, she was in my bedroom. You came back. I tried to scream, but my voice was gone. I couldn't move. Paralyzed. I could feel her breath on my skin. Cold. Rotten. Every night since 2 o'clock, she returns. And I can't escape Ashburn Street. I can't leave the city. Every time I try, I wake up back in my bed, the clock reading 1:59, 1 minute left. To anyone reading this, don't go to Ashburn Street, because if you do, you never leave. Second story, the corridor, that devours sound. My name is Brandon Heller. I've lived in Chicago my whole life. Born in Logan Square, raised around the rust-stained bridges of Humboldt Park, and now I rent a dusty 1-bedroom on the 3rd floor of a brick walk-up near Ashland Avenue. I work nights at the River West Medical Building downtown, janitor. Nothing glamorous. Empty trash cans, mop hallways. Try not to make eye contact with doctors who don't remember your name. But it's steady, and it pays enough to keep my lights on and my stomach full. Until the 3rd Friday of November. It started like any other shift. Cold wind clawing through the alleys, that usual smell of snow and gasoline. I clocked in at 10. My routine never changed. Elevators always stuck for a second on the 7th floor. Vending machine by the west stairwell always ate your quarters, and the 3rd floor corridor past the radiology wing, always silent. I mean that literally. I never thought about it before. I figured hospitals were full of strange acoustics, long halls, concrete walls, maybe just bad design. But that hallway past radiology, you step inside, no echo, no footsteps, no hum of overhead lights. It's like the air swallowed sound whole. Until that Friday, I didn't care. But that night, someone was waiting at the end. She stood still. maybe 20 feet down, facing the exit. Pale skin, straight black hair hanging in front of her shoulders, white gown. Not a hospital gown, older. Victorian? Couldn't tell. My eyes didn't want to focus on her. Every time I blinked, she looked slightly closer. I didn't move. "Ma'am?" I asked, voice low. Nothing. No sound. I should have left. Called security, anything but what I did. I stepped toward her. The moment my shoe hit the tile, I felt it. The pressure. Like the air had turned to syrup. My breath slowed, my pulse screamed, and still, nothing. No echo, no sound. I took another step, then another. She raised her hand. "Stop!" It felt like she screamed it, but I heard nothing. Just the movement, the gesture. I stopped. Something primal inside me begged me not to go farther. I turned around, or tried to. My feet wouldn't move. She began to walk toward me. Every step she took, the lights above dimmed, one by one, and with each flicker, her face sharpened. Empty eyes, no mouth, just torn skin where her lips should have been. I forced myself to move. One foot, then the other, turned, ran, but the sound didn't return until I crossed the silver line in the floor tile at the hallway entrance, like someone unplugged their fingers from my ears. I collapsed, gasping, crying. Security never found her. They checked cameras. That entire corridor, dead footage, static, like the system gave up on recording it. I quit that night, left my badge on the janitor's desk, told no one. What would I say? 2 weeks passed. Then I got the letter, typed, no return address, no stamp, just slid under my door. "You saw her. Now she sees you." I've tried to forget. I've burned sage, moved apartments, bought a dog, but every mirror in my home shows something else behind me. A woman in white with no mouth, always one step closer. And when the house goes quiet, when everything stops, I swear I can feel her breathing on the back of my neck. And it's always, always silent. Third story. The shadows that's beneath Wells Avenue. My name is Brandon Keller. I grew up in the south side of Chicago in a 2-story duplex on Wells Avenue. You wouldn't know the house if you passed it. It's like 100 others in the neighborhood, with sun-bleached siding and a dying oak tree in the yard. My mom still lives there. I haven't been back in almost 15 years, but something happened there. Something awful. I've never told anyone what I'm about to tell you. Not my wife, not my therapist, not even my brother, who lived through part of it with me. He says he doesn't remember. I think he's lying to himself. Maybe I've been lying to myself too. It all started in the fall of 2007, when the power lines on our block began to fail. Every few nights, the streetlights would flicker and die, sometimes for minutes, sometimes hours. The city blamed it on the old grid, but I knew better. The shadows were longer when the lights went out, not just darker, longer. I would sit in my room at night and watch them crawl across the walls like they had a mind of their own. Sometimes they would twitch, like something was struggling to break free of them. I didn't sleep much. One night, around Halloween, I was home alone. My brother had gone to a party. My mom was working an overnight shift at Mercy Hospital. Around midnight, the power went out completely. Not just on our block, the whole neighborhood. I looked out the window and saw nothing but black. Then I heard it. A whisper, right behind me. I spun around, heart pounding, nothing there, but I felt cold. So cold, like someone had opened a door to deep space. I grabbed a flashlight from the drawer and crept down the stairs. Everything was so quiet I could hear the fridge ticking as it powered down. But beneath that, there was something else, a scratching sound. It was coming from the basement. No one in our family ever liked going down there. The lights always buzzed, the air felt heavy. But that night, the air felt wrong, like it didn't belong to this world. I took the first few steps slowly, the beam of my flashlight jittering against the wall. The scratching grew louder. Then it stopped, and I heard breathing, not mine. Something slow, wet, shuddering. I froze, my legs locked. My body wanted to run, but my brain screamed, "Listen." Then I saw it. At the bottom of the stairs, in the pitch dark, something was moving, crawling. Its limbs were too long. Its face, a smear of shifting blackness, like oil sliding across glass. It looked up at me and smiled. I dropped the flashlight. I don't remember running back upstairs, but I woke up hours later, hiding in the bathtub with a steak knife in my hand. My brother found me the next morning, shook me awake. I told him what happened. He said, "You just had a nightmare." But there were scratches on the inside of the basement door. That was only the beginning. Over the next few weeks, things got worse. I'd hear footsteps pacing in the attic. My closet door would be open in the morning, though I always shut it. My brother began sleepwalking, something he'd never done before. He'd mumble in his sleep. They live in the dark. One night, I caught him standing in front of the basement door, just staring at it. "What are you doing?" I asked. "They want me to let them in," he whispered. That was the night I knew we had to leave. I begged my mom. I screamed at her. She thought I was losing it. Took me to a counselor. He said it was stress, hormones, teen anxiety. But that thing in the basement, it wasn't stress. The last night I spent in that house, the power went out again. I stayed in my room with every light on. I heard footsteps outside my window, even though we lived on the second floor. Then, tapping on the glass. Tap, tap, tap. I turned slowly, and there it was, that same black face, pressed against the glass, grinning. I screamed. My mom came rushing in, but when she flipped on the lights, nothing, no face, no shadow, but the window pane was frozen, ice cold, in the middle of October. We moved out 3 days later. Last I heard, the people who bought the house left after 6 months. Neighbors said they never slept, said they boarded up the basement door. Sometimes, when I visit Chicago, I drive past the old house. The dying oak tree's gone, but the windows, those upstairs windows, they always look dark, like something standing behind them. Waiting. Fourth story behind the blue door. They told me not to move into the building on West Fulton Street. Not because it was falling apart, though it was, or because the water came out brown, or the rats owned the basement. No, it was that door. The one on the second floor. Apartment 207. The blue one. I thought they were just being superstitious. Urban legends. A weird Chicago ghost story for late nights at the bar. But people in this city don't joke like that. My name is Calvin Reeves. I'm 32 years old, born and raised in the South Side. I don't scare easy. But what I saw in that building, it doesn't matter if you believe me. Just listen. I moved in on a Tuesday, mid-October. Windy as hell, the kind that cuts through your jacket and makes you feel like the city's got teeth. The landlord gave me the keys without a smile, without a warning. He just said, "Don't touch the blue door." I laughed. Said, okay. The building was old brick, 3 stories. My apartment was on the 3rd floor, just 2 units below mine. And right between them, apartment 207. The blue door. It was the only one painted. Not chipped, not faded. A fresh, almost glowing shade of deep ocean blue. No peephole, no mail slot, no name. The first night I heard knocking. Not on my door, on the blue one. Soft, rhythmic, like someone was trying to wake it up. 3 knocks, then silence. Then 3 again. I peeked out through my door. The hallway was empty. Next night, it happened again. This time I stayed out in the hall, waited in the shadows. At exactly 2:12 a.m., 3 knocks. I turned toward the door, and I swear, something moved behind it. Not a person, a shadow, too big to be human. It shifted like smoke. I heard a whisper, low and stretched like someone underwater. "Calvin," I ran. Back in my apartment, I locked the door, pushed the couch in front of it, didn't sleep. The next morning, I asked the guy in 205, an older man named Eddie who smelled like grease and cigarettes. He didn't look at me. "You heard it, didn't you?" I nodded. "Don't answer. Don't talk. Don't even look at it. The more you notice it, the more it learns about you." "What is it?" I asked. He just shook his head. "A mistake, a crack in the city, something that shouldn't be." That night, I heard breathing outside my door. Not heavy, not human, wet, like lungs that hadn't worked in years. I turned off the lights, hid in the bathroom, waited. At 2:12, 3 knocks. This time on my door. "Calvin." That voice again. It knew me. The next morning I went to the landlord, told him I wanted out. He just handed me a folder. Old papers, complaints, missing persons, police reports, all from that same unit. Apartment 207. One stood out, a photo, a woman's face, pale, screaming, eyes black. In the background, the blue door, slightly open. A hand behind her. Not hers, not human. The file said she moved in, heard knocking, asked questions, vanished, never found. I left that day, ran, didn't even take my stuff. I slept in my car for 2 weeks. But last night, I came home to my new place. Miles away, new locks, new building, fresh start. There was a note under my door. No envelope, no signature. It said 212 close, and drawn beneath it, a blue door, slightly open. I'm writing this now from a motel outside of Joliet. I don't know where to go next, but something's coming. I hear the knocking again, every night. It's never late. Fifth story, Shadow Beneath Halsted. My name is Michael Grayson. I live in Chicago, Illinois, born and raised on the South Side. I used to work night shifts as a building inspector for the city. Not glamorous, but it paid the bills. It started in late November, right after Thanksgiving. The city was getting colder, wind slicing through alleys like razors. I was assigned to inspect an old condemned warehouse on Halsted Street, an iron skeleton of a place no one had touched in decades. People in the neighborhood called it the Hollow, like it had a soul that something hollowed out long ago. I arrived at the site around 9 in the evening. The street was empty. No cars, no drunks, not even stray dogs. Just the sound of wind scraping brick. I stepped through the rusted side entrance, my flashlight barely piercing the pitch inside. Every beam of light felt like it fought back. The deeper I walked, the colder it got. But the cold wasn't natural. It wasn't the kind that wrapped around you. It pressed inward, like something trying to get in. I started taking notes. Cracked beams, warped pipes. But then I noticed something odd. The silence. It wasn't just quiet. It was void. No echoes, no creaks, no sound of my own boots. I turned to leave. That's when I saw it. A figure, far across the hall, not moving, not blinking, just standing. I aimed the flashlight. Gone. I thought I imagined it, but my gut knew better. I felt watched, hunted. I picked up my pace, cutting the inspection short. The next night, I got called back. The city said they needed photos this time for documentation. I didn't want to return, but I had no choice. Rent was late. I arrived around the same hour. Wind howled louder that night. When I entered the warehouse, something was off. The air was thicker. The floor felt stickier. My boots echoed differently. As I moved toward the main chamber, the hairs on my arms lifted. I raised the camera to snap a photo of the north wall. Click. Flash. Something stood beside me in the instant of the flash. My blood froze. I turned. Nothing. I reviewed the photo. A blurred figure. Tall, no eyes. Its face stretched like it had screamed forever and never stopped. I dropped the camera. Suddenly, a loud bang. The doors slammed behind me. I ran, but the halls didn't match the layout I remembered. It was like the building was changing. I kept hearing whispers. Behind me, inside me. I wasn't sure anymore. Names. My name. Michael. Over and over. I broke through a side door and sprinted all the way back to my truck. I never told anyone, but that was only the beginning. Things started happening at home. Shadows too long, lights flickering even with new bulbs. My cat vanished. My neighbor found her days later, folded in half like paper. Then I saw it, in my mirror, behind me, just standing, breathing without lungs, grinning without lips. I smashed the mirror. I moved out. But no matter where I went, it followed. I tried a motel in Cicero. Same thing. Then Wisconsin. Same thing. I haven't slept in 3 days. I found blueprints of the warehouse. It was built on the ruins of something older. Not registered. No records. But I found a note in the archives from 1936. It read, "Do not open the northern wall. That is where it waits." I had opened that wall. I had taken a picture. Now it knows me. Tonight, I'm going back to Halsted to end this. I don't know how, but I have to try. If you find this recording, don't go near Halsted. Don't enter the hollow. And if you see something in the flash, never turn around, because it will already be behind you.